Hello everyone, welcome to the F1 Radio for Fans channel. F1 launched the second round of the 2024 season with the first practice session at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, just a week after the start of the championship in Bahrain. Max Verstappen was the fastest in the first practice for the Formula One Saudi Arabian GP in Jeddah, followed by the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso and Sergio Checo Perez in a 1-3 for Red Bull, while Russell, Leclerc and Sainz completed the first 6 positions. Norris was 7th as the only McLaren in the top 10, ahead of Hamilton, Lance Stroll and Alex Albon. Here you have the interviews of Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso and Ricciardo.
Sorry, it's a bit of a Frenchy question, but this weekend there's the F1 Academy starting. We have a French driver too, actually, but there is Dorian Pin who's driving for Mercedes.
Yeah, I just saw her.
The implication of the brand now more than before with the F1 Academy, does that make you change as maybe be more implicated in the advices you could give to Dorian, or follow what she's doing and follow the F1 Academy?
I mean, I just spent some time with her just now in the garage. It's really impressive to see the growth within that organization, and then to see the other the teams in the sport actually really embracing it. Even, for example, we're seeing in this room there's more diversity than I've been here for a long time and not seen so many women here, so that's an amazing step in the right direction. There's still a huge amount of work that needs to be done, but the work that Susie's doing with the F1 Academy, I'm really, really proud of her, and I think she's a great spokesman for it. So I mean, for me, I was just talking to her. It was really interesting to talk to a young driver. I remember myself being at that kind of stage, and so I just spoke to her about the things that I did when back then, or things I could have done better, for example, like note-taking, for example.
Lewis, there's some obvious discontent elsewhere in the paddock right now, and I'm wondering whether or not, with the potential for some incredible talent to move, would you want to tempt Adrian Newey to perhaps come and join you at Ferrari, or could you see Max coming here to Mercedes when you leave? Could you see either of those two things happening in the future?
I think my moves have shown that anything's possible, and it's going to be a really interesting next 6 months or so. I don't have an extra scoop on. I know that I'm sure Max is on the list, but I'm pretty sure he's tied up, and also I couldn't see why you would leave a car that was that good. In terms of Adrian, having worked within the team, I know obviously Adrian gets all the praise for everybody's work. I know he's a huge part of it, of course, but I know there's so many engineers in the background that are a huge part of developing the team and the car that they have, and it's not down to one person. So it's not my decision. I've got, I'm competing against them this year at the moment, so I can't really talk about next year so far, just yet.
After the race last weekend, speaking to George about the cooling issue and the overheating, he said, "Oh, we know what it is, we're confident." And I said, "Are you worried about Jeddah?" And he said, "No." So what's happened in the meantime? Because he didn't sound quite so confident in the press conference. What have the team found in the week in between that suggests that there might be a little bit more to it than perhaps the simple answer that you thought it was?
Yeah, I mean, I can't go into detail, but they understand where the issue is, where they've perhaps missed things, and that's not only just within the cooling, but in lots of areas of the car. So they'll try to make changes on that. They realised that there were certain things they didn't get right, and we've got a huge group of people back at HP who do such an amazing job. So HPP. So I don't see it being an issue moving forwards.
Daniel, I know we spoke after the race and you said that the situation with strategy and possibly switching was discussed on Saturday in the briefing. So how did you feel when you saw him cut across in front of you and lock up and almost collide? What were your thoughts then, and what was said afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts were, well, I obviously said a few things on the radio. Then I obviously know that everything does get broadcast and someone's going to pick it up. So I said a few things, but I also tried to, save it for the briefing as well, because it's, I also know these things it's hard when as soon as you put the helmet on, and also at the end of a race, there's some frustrations, you're also a bit exhausted. You can always do maybe some things which are a little bit out of character, so I try to take these things into account as well. But yeah, it was also something that was for us afterwards. I think obviously enough got probably put out there to the public, but it was important that we spoke after the race. So yeah, after our technical briefing, we then had a private briefing and just cleared the air. So that was important for Yuki and I to do it, but also for the team to know that, okay, we're not going to have problems moving forward. You know, it's race one. And I think that was really what we needed to do, but also helped us just leave that room and be like, all right, it's done. Saudi, here we come.
Just one other question, just one. Is it inevitable when you're both chasing for potentially a seat at Red Bull that these things are going to happen? And going forward, can you trust him? Because I know you said that the delay in swapping actually cost you potentially a chance at points last weekend. Yeah,
we have to, you know, and I think that's why if we just kind of let it go, maybe there's still these questions or doubts, but I think that's why it was so important for us to, you know, obviously once the helmet was off and we got out of our race suit, we sat in a room and we talked very openly together. So, yeah, moving forward, there is trust. I think also, look, I think there's a lot where probably the in-lap and all that, that was that. But the race situation, these things happen. You know, it's not the first time where there's a bit of a delay in a driver swap and this and that. And we do have new people on the pit wall and everything. So it was also something that can happen in race one. So I also wanted to try to take that into account. We're not perfect yet. So yeah, all these little things I think make us come here and no issue.
Fernando, you said in Bahrain that 3 or 4 races and you'll make your decision on what you want to do next. What do you want to see in those 3 or 4 races to help you make that decision?
How I feel, how I go through the first round of trips, planes, time zone differences, physically how I feel, how motivated. I think that's the main theme for me. You know, I enjoy racing. I love racing. It doesn't matter if I'm fighting for a win, for podium, or for P12. I dedicate myself 100% for a race and for a team. And to do a commitment for the future, I need to make sure that I can give 100% to that team. If not, it's going to be too egoist from my side if I just sign and just be in Formula One just for fun. You know, if I'm here, it's because I want to do well, and first of all I need to speak with myself in order to commit.
So it doesn't matter which team it is, it'll be a personal decision on racing rather than actually a team and competitiveness?
I think first I need to make my personal commitment with myself to dedicate myself for a few more years, and then if I'm willing to sacrifice again other things in life, once I make the decision with myself, then I try to see what is the best possibility out there, but at the moment we are not in that stage yet.
Hi Max. Hi, how are you doing?
All good.
I have to ask you, Max, despite Christian telling us that the team's united, your dad has said that the team risks being torn apart if Christian stays on in his role. Is your dad right? Do you agree?
Well, you know, from my side, I'm just focusing on the driving bit, and I think that is also the most important for the team right now, and that's also why, you know, we came here, and that's our main target, and also what we want to focus on, you know, to not have, you know, this stuff going on race after race, because that is not good for the team.
Can you see any circumstances where you wouldn't be racing for Red Bull in 2025?
Things must go really crazy, I guess, but that's not the target for everyone. So.
Thank you. Thanks.
And obviously, you can't comment on the situation about the employee suspension. Is there a plan to bring some transparency to this in the future? And do you kind of recognise why it's necessary to do something? Because obviously, to the watching world, particularly the sort of female population watching, it doesn't really fit in with the attempts that F1 and Red Bull have made to show that it's a positive place for women to be, and you can understand why it hits a nerve there. So is there anything that you can commit to down the line that will actually make what's happened clearer and regain that confidence?
Well, I think it's a complicated issue because each company and these companies will be exactly the same as with any other major company, that there is a grievance process that takes place in any company, and you know, that process is confidential between the individuals, that's and the company itself. Now, I'm not at liberty, unfortunately, due to those confidentiality and out of you know, the respect to the company and of course the other party, that we're all bound by the same restrictions, and so, you know, even if I would like to talk about it, I can't because of those confidentiality restrictions. Now, there's a you know, a reason for that. Now, the only reason that this has gained so much attention, obviously, is because of the leakage and the tension that there's been drawn in the media, and which has been very very trying in many respects, and particularly for my family, because it's all been focused very much in one direction. And of course, what has happened then after that, others have looked to take advantage of it. And whether that be for, unfortunately, Formula One is a competitive business, and there's been obviously elements have looked to benefit from it, and that's perhaps the not so pretty side of our industry. So, of course, there are always lessons, but there's a process that is governed within within the company that it's not an FIA issue, it's not a Formula One issue, it's a company employee issue, and that would be the same in any in any major organisation.
Do you have any regrets about the potential reputational damage that has emerged from this episode for the team, for yourself and sponsors?
Well, obviously there's been an awful lot of coverage surrounding this, but one has to go back to the basis of a grievance was raised. It was fully investigated, and it was dismissed. And from there, we move onwards. And I think an awful lot has been made out of this. Obviously, it has been obviously of great interest in different elements of the media for different reasons. And I think the time now is to look forward and to draw a line under it. We're here to go racing. We're here as a Formula One team. And the time now is to focus on what is going on track, and the performance of the cars and the drivers, and where the spotlight should be during the course of a Grand Prix weekend.
On a personal level, are you concerned about the damage that might have been done to your reputation over these past 3 weeks, regardless of the independent investigators' adjudication? And conversely, do you have any sympathy for the woman involved and what this whole saga might have done to her reputation as well?
Well, look, it's obviously been a very trying period. I'm married and have 3 children, and when that intrusion includes your children and the scrutiny that is placed on my marriage, I'm very fortunate that I have a beautiful family and a very supportive wife. I'm the only one that has been named in this. So, of course, it's very trying. It's very challenging because when there's children involved, when there's families, parents, etc. involved, it's not pretty. And the reality is that there was a grievance that was raised. It was dealt with in the most professional manner by the group, not by Red Bull Racing, but by the owners of Red Bull Racing, Red Bull GmbH, that appointed an independent KC that is one of the most reputable KCs in the land. He took time to investigate fully all of the facts. He interviewed all of the people involved together with others of interest. He looked at everything. He had all of the facts, and he came to a conclusion where he dismissed the grievance. As far as I'm concerned, as far as Red Bull is concerned, we move on and we look to the future. And my wife has been phenomenally supportive throughout this, as have my family. But the intrusion on my family is now enough. And we need to move forward and to focus on what we're here for. And I'm sorry for these 3 gentlemen that they're not here talking about their cars and drivers today. That it's time now to focus on why we're here, which is to go Formula One racing.
Following comments from Max Verstappen's father, Jos Verstappen, Red Bull boss Christian Horner says the trio have agreed to move on for the season ahead.
Where's the end game here? He inferenced that it's either you have to go or he'll pull Max out of the team.
Well, look, I'm obviously aware of the comments that were made. There was a discussion subsequent to the race, and I think everybody's focus is very much on the future. The team's focus is very much on defending both of these world titles that we've fought so hard to achieve.
Do you think he is too involved in all this, and it's maybe a distraction for everyone?
Well, look, obviously Max's father has played a key role in his career and getting him to Formula One. But obviously, Jos is his own man. Max is, his own man as well. And we've seen him go from being a teenager when he joined us to, now very much a young man that's achieved what he has. So, it's not for me to comment on relationships between fathers and drivers. They're all unique between the different individuals.
Do you think that relationship between the two of you can be repaired?
I spoke to Jos following the Grand Prix, and obviously congratulated on his son's performance. And I think it's in everybody's interest, collectively, that we've agreed to move on, to focus on the future. And we both have a vested interest in his son, to get the best and provide the best cars for him and to get the best out of him. And he's started the season in the best possible way. He's an outstanding talent, and hopefully we can continue to provide him a very competitive car.
You've confirmed that he would absolutely be here as team principal in Bahrain, but can you confirm the same about Max, that he will see out his Red Bull contract?
I'm certain that he will. I mean, he's got a great team around him. He's got great faith in that team, and we've achieved an awful lot together. So he's committed to an agreement until 2028. From a team side, from Max's side, we're determined to build on the success that we've achieved already. And those 55 victories have all come in Red Bull cars. All of the podiums have come in Red Bull racing cars, and we're determined to build on that and add hopefully many more in the future.